Chapter 7. Whispers of Madness. Ortakion and Elpis arrive at a ridgeline. The journey through the night feels like a blur to him. Sunlight shines overhead, filtering through the canopy into Elpis's vision. I bet Primum is close behind with the prince. Ortakion stops and glares through the forest tree line, then moves forward at a faster pace. Elpis struggles to keep up with the aged man. Sweat begins to pool on his brow. He watches Ortakion quickly traverse a steep incline. Attempting to follow, he slips. Elpis digs his heel deep into the clay soil and pushes up toward an overlook. Remembering the stillness of the forest, he thinks of his encounter with the mysterious man. He stands ready, but the overlook only responds in silence. The overlook stands above the ridge. It has a narrow opening into the valley below. Ortakion sits atop a massive fallen tree in the center. Elpis rests his back next to him. The shining rays of the bright afternoon sun begin to fade. Elpis looks up into the twilight sky. He hears heavy footsteps, many footsteps rustling through the woods. He focuses as the shadows dance with the wind. Elpis glances at Ortakion. The man sits unbothered, twirling his beard. The silver of the Legionnaire's armor pierces through the overlook tree line. The Legionnaires gather by the fallen tree, quietly assisting each other in removing their armor. They are worn, beaten, and bloody. The somberness of their mood begins to weigh on Elpis's mind. What am I going to do if Primum doesn't make it back? The prince, Ortakion says, cutting the somber air. One of the Legionnaires speaks. We were the first to retreat. The others will know more. We saw Lucius's group about an hour's march behind us. The moons begin to light overhead. More groups of Legionnaires arrive. Elpis's heart begins to sink. Please, Primum, you promised. Elpis waits in quiet agony. He hears an aggressive scratching and examines Ortakion, his cheeks flustered bright red as he twists his beard with extreme force. The twisting grates at Elpis. Each turn slowly gnaws his thoughts back to Primum. He hears rock settle from below the overlook. His head jolts forward. Aedric ascends. The Legionnaires all stand. Elpis feels his heart fall into the pit of his stomach. See? I told you I know the area. Elpis leaps forward and sprints toward the voice. Primum! Elpis jumps and embraces him. Whoa! Worried about me, young Elpis? The moonlight warms Primum's face as he smiles softly. I thought you broke your promise. I am many things, Elpis, and a man of my word is one of them. Company leaders report. 4 Legionnaires approach Aedric. The wind sways, and a gust of leaves dances through the overlook. What are our supplies? Only what we could carry, sire, one of the Legionnaires states. The wounded. Just me, sire. Bastards hit me with a contaminated arrow. Infection is going to set. Oistros. I. A rather uninjured Legionnaire with a shaven head and a pointed goatee quickly grabs a large rucksack and shuffles to the prince. The poisoned. One had escaped, sire. The rest are secured. Oistros gestures to 3 men secured in ropes and light cloth. Escaped, Aedric says, raising a brow. Yes, sire. They are suffering from a sickness of the mind. Maybe some potent hallucinogen. Let me see. Aedric promptly walks toward the bound men. Unhood him. Oistros quickly unhoods the crazed Legionnaire, his face covered in soot, his cheeks raw from the tight binding of the gag. His eyes begin to twitch wildly. He lets out muffled screams. Aedric looks deep, his brows furrow. Oistros, cover him! Aedric snaps to his men. Harpies, the main fleet will not arrive for a month. We are deep into dog territory, and they are hunting. Tell me, Harpies, does the eagle fear a dog? The legionnaires gather in unison and shout, "No, sire!" Aedric nods to his men. How many silver wings do we have? 2, sire, one of the men announces. Company leaders, follow me. The rest of you, prepare to march. Aedric moves to the edge of the overlook. He lights a dim spark from his palm. Oistros huddles near and begins to shuffle strategic supplies on the ground. The 4 legionnaires from earlier move forward to the prince. How did you get out of there, Primum? Elpis asks, moving to his side. Well, I swung my axe. Were you scared? Elpis asks, looking up at him. Always. Elpis sighs deeply. I was hoping it gets easier. It never will, my dear Elpis, but you learned the secret. Elpis raises a brow. Primum leans in close. You didn't freeze. Elpis nods and releases a soft chuckle. I guess I didn't. Primum, the prince commands, beckoning him. Odd. I don't remember signing up to be a legionnaire, Primum sighs. Shall we, Elpis? Aedric glances at them. Where is an area secluded enough to treat my wounded? Primum rubs his finger across his chin, staring at the map. I know of several, but I can't read that map. It's all wrong. Impossible. I made this myself on my previous expedition, Oistros snaps. Well, it's incomplete. No complete map exists. Yes, there are many. You simply didn't think to ask the dogs. Primum kneels and rolls out a map from his bag. Oistros, is it accurate? Oistros studies the map. Yes, sire. They study Primum's map. Nothing much changes, it would seem. Secure cardinal points around the port. Support Prodicios and his men with their mission. Gather your men and march. Aye. Lucius, brief Galen, you're with me. Sire, nothing can be done. Please let me fight. Aedric raises his hand. Lucius hangs his head in defeat and sighs. Aye. He faces Primum, eyes stern. That was unnecessary. Primum bows his head. I apologize. I did not mean to undermine your men. Grab 2 of my sick and carefully take us somewhere to treat them. Primum nods and begins carrying the afflicted legionaries. Aedric gestures to Otakion. Otakion promptly rises and hoists the last of the sick upon his shoulders. Elpis hears a soft screech as the prince grabs a cage containing a graceful, large white bird, a large silver plume bending toward its beak. Galen, the prince says, raising the cage, take care of the silver wing. This is everyone's lifeline. A legionnaire sprints to the prince and swiftly takes it. Elpis watches as the legionnaire's silver fades into the night forest. He walks to where the legionnaires were bound and feels a chill run down his spine. He thinks back to the legionnaire's muffled screams and moves forward. It is a grueling 2-day march for Elpis. He stands below a massive hilltop. The valley shines with golden morning light, grass bending and swaying in the wind. A tower looms atop the hill, held together by the ruins of the other half. This is it. Primum points to the hill. This area is completely exposed, Otakion grunts, placing the 3 poisoned on the ground. Yes, but the tower has an undercroft. How sure are you that it's not compromised? Aedric asks abruptly. Well, your empire was the one that built it. Aedric nods to his posse. Otakion grunts and swiftly hoists the men on his back. Oistros walks to the hill. The others follow. He approaches the center of the tower. "All right, someone, come help me. Strong, preferably." Otarchaion sets the men down. Primum grabs his axe and digs it into the cobblestone. "Help me lift this." Otarchaion's veins bulge in his neck as his face burns red. He roars as he heaves the trapdoor wide. Elpis feels damp, cold air rush from the forgotten undercroft. Stagnant moistness envelopes him as he peers into it, narrowly lit by the sun before shifting into a dark abyss. Aedric lights a small flame from his hand and walks into the abyss. "Let me, sire," Lucius says, attempting to lift one of the bound men. Otarchaion pushes him aside and gathers them. "It is safe. Don't worry, Elpis. This is the best part of survival. Hide and seek." Elpis smirks and enters the undercroft with Primum. Elpis follows the glow of Aedric's fire through the confined, twisting staircase. He hears the trapdoor slam above him. He glances behind, but can only see Primum's silhouette. He reaches the end of the stairs. He watches Aedric snuff the flame. Darkness swallows his vision. A loud snap comes from Aedric. The torches roar, overcoming the dark. Light expands across damp stone walls into spacious living quarters. Tables are strewn about in various stages of decay. "Oistros, see to Lucius, then monitor the others," Aedric says, examining a nearby room. "Isolate the others." "Aye." Primum finds a sturdy chair and begins to remove his armor. Each piece slams to the ground with a faint echo. Primum lets out a content sigh. Elpis sits atop a wobbly table and takes a deep breath. The undercroft carries an earthy moss smell. The stone walls silence the world outside. Elpis listens closely to the sound of the others shifting about the keep and smiles. "Oistros, report." The sharp command grabs Elpis's attention. "Aye." Elpis sees Oistros's shadow shift in his peripheral. He walks toward the commotion. Voices travel down a hallway. Elpis leans in low. A tap lands on his shoulder. He snaps around to see Primum standing over him. Primum smiles with a wink and gestures forward. Elpis walks toward the two hunched over a doorway. "Is there a problem?" Primum calls out. "It would appear not." "Well, what is it?" Aedric nods to Oistros. "Are you familiar with local writing?" "Somewhat," says Primum, gently pushing Elpis aside and approaching the others. "Can you read it?" Elpis catches a glimpse past Primum, ancient lettering etched into the wall. "No, it's Old Umbrian." "I can read it," Elpis says, squeezing past Primum. He runs his fingers through the etching. "Well, some of it," he says, tracing soft, damp stone. "Speak. It says, 'Stop using the gift.'" He points to a faded signature at the bottom. "The first one." Aedric's brows furrow as he stares down at Elpis. "Would you explain how you can read that, boy?" Elpis stammers and snaps his gaze to Primum. Primum uncrosses his arms and faces the prince. "Would you care to speak on his behalf?" "Mercenary," Aedric says with a deep scowl. Elpis tries to speak, but his tongue twists. Primum locks eyes with the prince. "Aedric," a gruff voice calls out. Aedric huffs and walks to Otarchaion. Oistros follows as they leave out of sight. Elpis feels frustration radiating from his core. He hangs his head low, eyes closed. "I just wanted to be useful." "You are no soldier," Primum sighs. "You're a child, Elpis. Nobody expects anything from you. It is something to exploit, not reveal." Elpis shakes his head. "You didn't cause any damage that can't be fixed. Primum says, and leaves the room. Elpis sits alone. He runs his thumb across his fingers. The wandering sounds slowly fade to nothing. Elpis explores the massive undercroft, checking each undisturbed room. Noticing a crack in a doorway, he glances inside. Lucius's wound festers. Boils begin to surround it. Oistros heats a small metal rod over a torch flame. The door suddenly shuts. Elpis wanders back to the dining hall. Primum sits in the same chair from earlier. Elpis approaches. Primum's sharp, focused gaze has turned to an empty stare. "You thinking about something, Priamum?" Elpis waits for a sarcastic reply. "Priamum?" Primum's eyes linger on the torch, as if in a trance. Elpis grabs his arm. "Primum." He snaps to Elpis. "Yes?" "Are you okay?" "Fine, boy. Just in need of some rest." Primum stands and heads to a nearby room. "Good night, Elpis." He closes the door behind him. Good night." Elpis searches for a suitable room to rest. In the room near Priamum, he finds tattered bedrolls covered in dust. He gathers them together and forms makeshift bedding. He jumps in, and a cloud of dust rises. It tickles his nose, and he sneezes softly. He looks up at the stone ceiling and smirks. "They will never find me here," he thinks, closing his eyes. He wakes from his slumber and scans the dark stone room for orientation. Roaring laughter echoes from outside his room. Elpis perks up and quietly peeks out, searching for the voice. "Thank you, sire. I'll be taking that," someone calls from the dining hall. Discreetly, he peers in and sees Lucius and Ortachion playing a card game. "Enjoy it. Won't happen again." "Want to find out? Another round, sire." Lucius grins, shuffling the cards. Elpis peers further. Ortachion glares at him. Elpis jolts back behind the wall. A chair slides against the floor. A jolt crawls up Elpis's spine. He sneaks back into the room. "Care to play?" Ortachion calls, smiling. Elpis shuffles to the table, grabs a chair, and sits across from Lucius. "How do you play?" "It's real easy. All you gotta do is make the other person draw 20 cards. Lucius draws 5 cards from his pile and leans them over to Elpis. "See these pictures?" Elpis notices the cards: 3 soldiers, 1 sun, and the moons. "Yeah." "Soldiers make them draw. Sun stops them. Moons make us both draw." "That's it?" "You'll learn the rest as we go. Shall we start?" Elpis learns quickly and corners Lucius. "Oi, you said this was your first time." "It is," Elpis chuckles. "Are you going easy on the boy?" Ortachion quips. "I'm not," Lucius says. "All right. Well, if I play this, it makes you put your hand down, right?" Lucius glances at the card and throws his hand. "The spear? The little bastard beat me his first time," he says, rubbing his shoulder. "All right, sire. Oistros is waiting for me." Chuckling, Ortachion nods, and Lucius dismisses himself. Ortachion sits across from Elpis. "Don't worry, I went easy on him. I won't with you." They engage in an intense battle of cards. Elpis sinks deep into thought. A slam echoes through the stone walls. Elpis jumps and turns toward the mouth of the stairs. Metal rings from hurried footsteps. Primum's silhouette cuts through torchlight. "There you are," Primum says, throwing down his bag. "Hey, Primum. Playing a game of Oracle. Why'd you never ask me to play?" "Lucius taught me how." Ortachion nods to Primum and quietly leaves. "Elpis, can I ask you something?" "Sure," Elpis shrugs. "Would you like to learn how to fight?" Elpis whips toward him, eyes wide. Yes. Well, best we get started then. Right, Elpis says, enthusiastic. Elpis endures 2 weeks of rigorous training. Again, Primum commands. Elpis rises from the floor and readies his dagger. Charging, he ducks low and strikes to impale Primum's foot. Primum swiftly kicks him in the jaw. Elpis slides across the floor. You keep focusing on the front. Switch your grip and utilize the edge instead of the point. You're fighting to immobilize, not win. Elpis's jaw throbs. He rubs it softly, locks eyes with Primum, and rises. Again. His vision begins to blur. His breaths begin to heave. I think that's all I can take, Primum. Primum nods. Elpis stumbles away, rubbing his jaw. A wet cough travels through the hallways. I hope Lucius is doing better. He wanders toward the strained coughing. He hears Adric speaking softly. Elpis leans in. Sire, something is wrong with them. I hear 'em laughing at night. Oistro says the poison is showing signs of wavering. No, sire. Since we got here, I have been having these dreams, and I hear them laughing. These are just vivid dreams from the infection, Lucius. They are bound. They haven't spoken. No, Lucius snaps. No, sire, please. Just move me away from those freaks. I will ask the boy if he wishes to share space. Elpis repositions himself, hoping to feign ignorance. Adric brushes into him. Ah, Elpis. Would you mind allowing Lucius to stay with you? Sure. Can you walk, Lucius? Aye, Lucius says weakly. Elpis walks toward the end of the hall. He hears Adric call out, Elpis. He freezes. You're no soldier. He turns to the prince. I have been watching your sparring. Would you like to spar with me tomorrow? Elpis nods. I look forward to it. I hear you are rather sharp, Adric says, departing. Elpis wanders through the corridor. Oistros's door stands open. He glimpses Oistros's shadow through the opening. Do not worry, brothers. We will get through this. Muffled murmurs echo from the room. I am close to deciphering the book. It holds the cure. Stay strong, brothers. The shadow turns. Elpis runs back down the hallway. As he reaches the edge, the door creaks shut. He rushes into his room and crashes into his musty bedroll. Hope you don't mind coughing, Lucius says with a weak chuckle. Elpis rolls onto his back, facing the stone ceiling. It's okay, he says, chirpy. Honestly, it's been so quiet. I miss the outside. You want to go back out there, huh? No, Elpis laughs. Fuck the South, Lucius says. Yeah, Elpis says softly. Good night, Lucius. Good night, kid. Elpis is startled awake to manic laughter. He rises from his bedroll. Lucius, do you hear that? He turns. Lucius convulses, releasing a strained grunt. Lucius, are you awake? The manic laughing rings within Elpis's ears. It festers in his mind. His eyes widen. Lucius, he shouts, pleading. The laughing suddenly stops. Lucius gasps deeply for air. His eyes widen as he takes short breaths. Lucius, are you okay? Fine, he says sharply. Go back to sleep. Elpis lies back down. His thoughts keep returning to the laughter. He tries to contain them and closes his eyes. A sudden pound on the door jolts him awake. He shoots up. Elpis. Aedric says he wants to spar. Elpis turns to Lucius, lying still, and opens the door. Rough night? No. I am okay. I see. Primum rests a hand on his chin, studying Elpis. Next time, consult me before agreeing to anything. I don't mind. I want to spar with the prince. It feels awkward since the first day. It's not that. Primum gestures toward the door. That ward of the Undercroft is being isolated. Aedric feels something is wrong, even if he won't admit it. Elpis's heart thumps. You think it's contagious? Are you sure you're okay? Primum lowers to eye level. Last night I woke up and I heard laughing. Strange. I heard nothing. Sleep in my room for now. Elpis nods and heads to the dining hall. The worn chairs and tables have been tossed into a corner, leaving the dining hall wide open. Elpis twirls in the space. Wow, should have done this sooner. The echoes of the Undercroft seem to reverberate a little louder in the emptiness. Elpis hears the stomps of Aedric's fine leather boots through the hallway. Aedric nods to Elpis and readies himself in the center of the room. Primum tosses Elpis's training knife. Elpis catches it and settles into stance. Elpis studies him. Aedric stands with calm stillness. Despite his relaxed posture, Elpis finds no obvious openings. That longsword protects him even if I dive. Come, boy, before I come forward. Fight to last, not to win, Primum says. Elpis charges. Aedric's sword tracks his movement. Elpis enters Aedric's range. Aedric strikes swiftly. Elpis narrowly deflects the blow with his dagger. Aedric tosses controlled jabs with his longsword, pushing Elpis back. Elpis sidesteps a jab and shoots low toward Aedric's legs. Aedric adjusts and thrusts down. Elpis locks eyes with the steel and rolls back, narrowly dodging the strike. He missed. Elpis's eyes flick to Aedric's left arm. I can exploit that. Elpis charges again, ducking low to the right. Aedric strikes. Elpis plants his back foot and turns left into Aedric's guard. Elpis grins. An opening. The prince's face scowls in bitter rage. Elpis is yanked off the ground. Aedric tosses him into the haphazardly stacked tables. Elpis crashes into them. Air leaves his lungs. He tries to breathe, but air does not enter. He looks up. Aedric stares down at him, then turns away. Primum rushes in. Are you okay, my boy? Elpis finally drags in air. No, my back. He reaches for the bruise, wincing. Did I do something wrong? No, Primum says. I don't believe that was about you. Primum hauls him up and brushes his back. Good catch. You did well. Primum gives an earnest smile. Shall we get back to training? Can we do it later? My back hurts. I'm also worried about Lucius. I want to talk to Oistros and check on him. Primum nods and Elpis departs into the hallway. Elpis peers into the corridor from yesterday and slowly approaches Oistros's quarters. Whispered chuckling leaks through the door. He knocks. The room quiets. The door swings wide. Sire. Ah. Elpis. Oistros grins from ear to ear. Come in, Elpis. I have been wanting to speak with you. He steps aside and gestures for Elpis to enter. Elpis examines the room. Candles are strewn about in disorder. A book lies open on a small, well-lit table, beside a well-maintained bedroll. A dim ember glow paints another room connected to Oistros's quarters. Elpis sees the shadows of the bound men. Elpis, could I ask for aid? Oistros says enthusiastically. From me? You are read in Old Umbrian, yes? Elpis almost slips a response, but catches himself. I know some. Can you translate this for me? Oistros gestures to the open book. Elpis studies it. It is a mundane list of unfamiliar ingredients. It looks like a recipe for something. Yes, I knew it. It's the cure. It doesn't mention anything about a cure. Keep reading. I need to know what the last part says to finish it. Elpis traces his finger to the final paragraph. He scans through the words. Azriel. He pulls his hand back. Elpis's eyes widen. He steps away close to the door. What did it say? I can't read it. I don't know. Elpis rushes out. Wait, Elpis. I have to go. Primum is waiting for me, Elpis says, sprinting down the corridor. Oistros's door slams, echoing through the undercroft. Elpis runs as fast as his legs will carry him back to Priamum. He finds everyone hovering over his shared chamber. Primum turns to Elpis and waves a hand, urging him aside. Elpis slips out of sight and listens from the hallway. We must move him before rot sets, Eadric says. Where? It's only a matter of days before the whole place turns foul, Primum replies. We will bury him, as is his right. I saw scouts lingering a few days ago. It's unwise. It is his right, Ortakaion. Honor him. Aye, Ortakaion replies, voice strained. Elpis locks eyes with Ortakaion as the man moves to the stairwell. Lucius lies in his bedroll, saddled on Ortakaion's shoulder. Is Lucius okay? Ortakaion pauses for a brief moment, then continues up the stairwell. Primum approaches Elpis. Tears well in Elpis's eyes. Is Lucius dead? Yes, boy. The infection ran its course. Tears spill down Elpis's face. Rest, Primum says. Elpis stumbles into Primum's room and closes the door behind him. He falls to the stone floor. The stone drinks his tears, dampening his cheek. Elpis thinks back to last night. Should I have told someone? Scenarios replay in his mind. I should have helped. He lies there, eyes swelling, staring at the ceiling until they finally shut. Elpis opens his eyes to unending darkness. He lifts his hand to his face, but he can't see it. He stumbles forward. Primum, he shouts. A bright light ignites above him. A pair of yellow glowing eyes towers overhead. I see you. Elpis collapses. His whole body shakes. He screams. Elpis gasps and jerks upright. His heartbeat roars through his chest. The light is gone. He orients himself and notices the door is open. Dim torchlight spills into the room. Elpis scans the space. White eyes faintly shine from a dark corner. A toothy smile forms. Primum? The grin emerges from the shadows. Half of Oistros is illuminated by ember glow. Naught secrets, Elpis, he giggles. You should tell everyone just how special you are. Leave me alone! Elpis's voice trembles. Oistros laughs and tiptoes out. Elpis slams the door and braces himself against it. His heartbeat pounds so loud it rings in his ears. He scans the dark room, aching for something, anything to defend himself with. But he feels pinned to the door. A loud slam from above startles him. Hurried footsteps. We have a problem, Primum shouts. Elpis cracks the door and peeks out. Adric strides through the hallway. "Pray tell," Adric says, approaching Primum. "There are more scouts, many more. We have been spotted." "Ortakion." "Aye," Ortakion's voice calls from down the hall. Ortakion strides toward them as Elpis creeps beside Primum. "Did they see you burying Lucius?" Adric asks. "Unlikely." "Well, they saw something. I had been monitoring them," Primum says, crossing his arms. "They were doing a wide sweep, but now it's concentrated near the hill. Either we have a rat, or someone was careless." "How many?" Adric asks abruptly. "No less than 40. Kill every scout. We will delay their report. I will alert Oistros to begin packing." "And the others?" Primum asks, eyes hard on Adric. "We have done all that we can. There is no time for a cure. They will be honored." Oistros bursts into the hallway, waving his arms. "Sire, please, I have finished the cure. I need only administer it." Elpis stares at Oistros as he pleads. A subtle smile twitches on Oistros's face as the prince begins to waver. Elpis's stomach drops. He is mad. Elpis tugs at Primum's arm. "Primum, he came into my room. I had a nightmare like Lucius. He was watching me in my sleep." Adric locks eyes with Elpis. "What is the boy speaking of, Oistros?" Oistros snaps his gaze to Elpis, lip curling with ire. Primum kneels to Elpis. "Are you sure this was not a nightmare? It is difficult to maintain yourself in this still place." Elpis peers over Primum's shoulder and listens. "Administer the cure," Adric says. "If they are not ready when we return, then do your duty, Oistros." "Aye, sire." Oistros bows and departs. His shuffling footsteps reverberate down the hall. Elpis snaps his attention back to Primum. "Please listen." "I am," Primum says, hands on Elpis's shoulders. "But I need you to listen. Something is wrong. I believe you. However, it is moments before we are discovered. Outside, you are a liability. In here, you affect nothing. That means we must leave you, but—" Primum reaches for his knife and reveals it to Elpis. "Remember what you were taught, and act." Elpis stares at the knife. His arms feel heavy. Primum's words weigh like stone. He takes it and nods. "Observe," Primum says, rising. Elpis grips the knife and flees into an isolated corridor. The trap door shuts above. His breathing unsteadies. He slips into a corner and readies himself. Elpis waits, listening for movement, only hearing the occasional torch spark. His stance wavers. He settles for a brief rest. The halls remain dormant, as if abandoned. Elpis's thoughts shift to Primum. How much longer will they take? A door swings open. Elpis snaps back into stance. The force ripples through the scaffolding he leans against. He listens, but nothing. He peeks out. The corridor is empty. "Elpis!" Oistros shouts from the dining hall. Elpis creeps to the corridor's edge and peers into the dining hall. Oistros draws unfamiliar symbols with red ink. His hand bleeds profusely. He cups the blood and continues painting the floor. "Elpis," Oistros giggles. "Come out here. I want to talk to you. Let me apologize." Oistros grins, locking eyes with Elpis's silhouette. Elpis pulls back into the corridor and exhales a labored sigh. He tucks the dagger beneath his tunic and creeps toward the dining hall. Oistros kneels at the center, surrounded by blood-covered symbols. A sharp iron odor hits Elpis as he steps in. Oistros stares into the empty stairwell. The flesh of his lips contorts into an exaggerated grin. He prostrates himself. "Forgive me for scaring you, but when I found out about you, I could hardly contain myself." "You don't know anything about me. Leave me alone," Elpis shouts. "Oh, I know everything about you." "He showed me," Oistro says, laughing. The laughter unfurls into a manic outburst. Oistros begins to levitate. He stretches his arms and stares into the stone ceiling. "My lord, I will do as commanded. I give to you the Dawnbringer." Oistros shrieks. Blood from Oistros's hands rises, hovering toward the ceiling, forming a strange symbol. Footsteps echo from a hallway. 3 silhouettes. Elpis's knees tremble. He clenches his palm. 3 poisoned legionnaires step into view, their faces contorted with unnatural, exaggerated grins. Elpis sprints back into the corridor. They give chase. Heat bursts behind him. At a T-shaped intersection, Elpis spots a room with a barricaded door. Oistros cackles madly as he dashes for it. Footsteps close in. Elpis slams the door and braces the barricade. A sudden impact shakes it. Elpis falls back and shrieks. Laughter leaks through the wood. Smoke begins to pool through the cracks. Elpis scans frantically. Wooden scaffolding clings to the ceiling above the door. He climbs and balances across a beam overlooking the entry. There is a sudden pound below. The barricade shakes but holds, then it shakes again. Smoke rises. The scent of burnt meat creeps into Elpis's nose. Another loud thud. The barricade splinters. Elpis draws his knife, gripping the worn leather handle, and stills himself. The barricade snaps. The door bursts open. 3 men step in and examine the room below. One looks up. The beam supporting Elpis snaps. Elpis tightens both hands on the dagger and drives it down with all his force. He feels bone splinter from the dagger. He looks down. The dagger is impaled in the man's face. Before Elpis can think, he braces his legs on the man's broad shoulders and kicks himself back. He lands clumsily and bolts for the dining hall. Heat slams into him. Fire spreads across decaying scaffolding. Stone clumps crash onto the floor. Elpis inhales and coughs hard as smoke claws into his lungs. He hears the other 2 men behind him. He runs through the lit dining hall, holding his breath, and darts into another hallway. Reaching another intersection, he looks to his right. He sees the room with the mysterious message open, mostly untouched by the spreading fire. He dives inside and crawls beneath a narrow opening at the foot of a shelf. He slides near the door and lies in wait. Laughter echoes from across the hallway. Doors slam open and shut. Smoke climbs into the room. The floor slowly reflects a bright yellow. The men's cackling turns frantic. The laughter draws closer. Elpis pulls his knife into the shadows and waits. The crazed legionnaire's feet come into view. Elpis braces his leg on the wall and slides toward their heels. He drives his dagger into one heel. Flesh rips. He twists the blade and sweeps it back. The man collapses forward. The last maddened foe lunges at Elpis with a desperate smile. Elpis steadies himself and slashes toward the outstretched hand, severing fingers. The man recoils. Elpis lunges up and sprints out of the room. He turns back and sees the man bracing to chase. Suddenly, the flaming scaffolding collapses onto him. The man laughs under the rubble. One bloodshot eye widens. "He sees you, Elpis! He has plans for you!" he shouts. His flesh sears in the roaring flame, and his muttering explodes into pained laughter. Elpis flees for the stairwell. Oistros's charred body lies near the base, still cackling as the blaze grows. Holding his breath, Elpis charges up the smoke-filled stairway and reaches the trap door. He shoves with all his might. It won't budge. His lungs pulse. He slips in a breath by accident and chokes on smoky ash. He falls. His vision dims as smoke fills him. A flash of light erupts. He feels a sudden tug. Primum embraces him and slaps his back with force. Smoke bursts from Elpis's lungs. Elpis coughs violently, gasping for air. He looks up at Primum, lips curling as tears well. "I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do," he sobs. "Everyone step away from the tower," Primum shouts. Primum hoists Elpis and sprints away from the base. Aedric and Ortakion flee beside them. The tower collapses behind stone and ash roaring down the hill. They reach the base. Primum sets Elpis down. A pillar of ash plumes into the sky. Rubble crashes into the valley's peace. "What happened?" Aedric darts to Elpis. "I didn't have a choice," Elpis replies between tears. Aedric's face twitches briefly. "We will rendezvous with my men. It's time to depart this nightmare." Aedric and Ortakion move eastward. Elpis turns back to the rising smoke. The smell of burning flesh lingers in the air. He wipes his tears and runs to catch up.